I booked a solo trip to Savannah, Georgia, back in 2019. I was excited to stay in a historic hotel that advertised itself as quaint and full of character. What I didn't realize until later was that character also meant haunted.
My room was on the 3rd floor, at the very end of a long, dim hallway. The carpet was old, patterned with faded flowers, and my shoes made no sound when I walked on it. The first night, after a day of sightseeing, I came back to my room around midnight. I noticed something strange. Down the hall, near the fire exit, stood a woman in a pale dress. She wasn't moving, just standing. I thought maybe she was drunk or lost, but when I blinked, she was gone.
I told myself I was tired and imagined her. But later that night, as I tried to sleep, I heard the sound of heels tapping slowly down the hall. The sound stopped right at my door. Then, 3 soft knocks. I froze. My body wouldn't move. Whoever it was didn't knock again. The next morning, I asked the front desk if anyone else was on my floor. The receptionist gave me a strange look and said my room was the only one booked on that end of the hotel.
That night, I pushed a chair under the doorknob before bed. I fell asleep but woke up around 3 a.m. My room was ice cold, and then I heard it again. Heels pacing back and forth right outside my door. The knocking returned, but this time it was frantic. 3, 4, 5 times in a row. I wanted to scream, but instead I just sat there in bed, clutching the blanket. When I finally gathered enough courage, I yanked the chair away, flung open the door. The hallway was empty. But on the carpet, right in front of my door, was a trail of wet footprints leading toward the fire exit. Bare feet. Small, like a woman's. I checked out the next morning.
In 2016, my husband and I stayed at a mountain resort in Colorado for our honeymoon. The hotel was beautiful, built in the early 1900s, and the staff told us we'd been given the honeymoon suite, a room supposedly famous for its history. The first night felt perfect. The fire crackled in the old stone fireplace, and the view of the snowy woods was breathtaking. But in the middle of the night, I woke up to the feeling of someone sitting at the end of the bed.
I thought it was my husband, but when I turned, he was still asleep beside me. The weight shifted like someone had just stood up. The next night, things got worse. Around 2 a.m., I heard whispers. They were faint, like someone murmuring directly into my ear. I bolted upright, but there was no one. The whispers stopped as soon as I turned on the lamp.
By the 3rd night, my husband was uneasy too. We were lying in bed when suddenly the heavy wooden door to the room creaked open. At first, we thought it was housekeeping, but no one came in. The hallway was pitch black. Then the door slammed shut so violently, the glass in the window rattled.
We didn't sleep at all that night. My husband kept insisting it was a draft or old building issues. But around 4 a.m., we both saw it. A figure standing near the fireplace. A woman in a long white dress. Her hair hung over her face, and her body swayed slightly, like she was rocking back and forth. Neither of us moved. We just lay there, paralyzed. After what felt like forever, the figure turned and walked straight into the wall. Gone. When we told the staff the next morning, one of them admitted that the honeymoon suite was rumored to be haunted by a bride who took her own life there nearly a century ago. Guests often reported the same woman watching them while they slept. That was the last night of our honeymoon in that hotel.
A few years ago, I took a business trip to New Orleans.
The company booked me into a big, historic hotel downtown. It looked glamorous during the day, but at night, it was a different story. They gave me room 407. I noticed immediately that the room smelled strange, like damp wood mixed with something metallic. The air conditioner worked fine, but the room was freezing. I shrugged it off, ordered dinner, and went to bed early. Around 1 a.m., I woke up to the sound of running water. I thought I left the bathroom sink on, so I got up. But when I entered the bathroom, the sink was dry. The sound stopped instantly.
As I turned to leave, I saw something in the mirror behind me. A man. He stood in the corner of the bedroom, staring at me. His face was pale, almost gray, and his mouth hung open unnaturally wide. When I spun around, there was no one. I barely slept after that, but the real nightmare came the next night.
At around 3 a.m., I woke up gasping, like someone was pressing down on my chest. I couldn't move. My eyes darted toward the corner of the room, and there he was again, the same man, this time closer, his head tilted, his eyes locked onto mine.
And then he started walking toward the bed. The pressure on my chest grew worse, like invisible hands holding me down. I tried to scream, but nothing came out. Just when he reached the side of my bed, everything stopped. The weight lifted. The room was empty again. When I checked out the next morning, I asked the front desk about the room. The receptionist hesitated, then said room 407 was rarely used. Years ago, a man had been found dead there, sitting in the corner chair, his mouth frozen open in what looked like a scream.
Outro. Those were 3 disturbing true tourist horror stories from haunted hotels. Which stories scared you the most? Comment below and subscribe for more true horror stories.